just follow the traditions. Namaskar, Adab, Sat Sri Akal, and good morning. Thank you very much for a very nice introduction. And I was requested by Dr. Rajan Chalana to get in touch with Mr. Dwivedi and talk about the contribution of Canadian authors of South Asian descent, particularly in context of the English authors. And I did get into those questions, as Bhargavaji mentioned, and those questions that are very prudent and need answers helped me to write this paper or presentation, whatever we may consider it now. I had to go back to Rabindranath Tagore, and Rabindranath Tagore said about South Asian region, here the Arya, here the Anarya, here the Dravida and the Chin, Saka, Hun, Pathan, Mughal, all merged to form one body. This is from his Bharat Tirtha. The poet Rabindranath Tagore had almost a mystic perception of the understanding of ethnic formations in South Asia. This discernment is reflected clearly in the South Asian literature born from all over South Asian subcontinent. But it does not mean it is theocentric or religiocentric. Rather, it is esoteric. It is mystic and combines the concept of yoga with that of bhog, that is spirituality with worldly happiness. The dominant undercurrent in the Indian essence has been spiritual, intuitive, and psychic. The best example is of Amir Khusro, whose themes cut across boundaries of caste, creed, and community and connect thoughts of the ancient Indic civilization with the Muslim Sufi traditions. The example of emergence of Urdu language, with its large number of substantives borrowed from Arabic and Persian language, presents an excellent composite model that will raise the literature of South Asian subcontinent. South Asian literature has been influenced by South Asian epics as well. The sources of ethnic memory from time immemorial have been telling us how to become an ideal person, one who fights against injustice for the preservation of human virtues, dharma, on which society is based. Another undercurrent is the idea of humanism. There are two factors involved in realizing the true nature of Indian humanism that I figure, and one being tyag, sacrifice, and the other being bhakti, love. In addition, harmony is central to many South Asian authors' concept of beauty, which induces a unique feeling of pleasure termed as blissful. Now, most of the South Asian writers have been influenced sometime or the other in their lives due to all this body of literature that we listen to, we read, or we live with. So Canadian South Asian writers. So majority of the South Asian migrants to Canada originate from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, and they belong to diverse religious backgrounds including Sikhism, Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, and Christianity. South Asian contact with the Western world resulted in our acceptance of the Western thought on one hand and a reaction to it on the other. I will touch upon the trajectory of the South Asians briefly. They first stepped on the Western Canadian soil when they were on their way to attend the commemoration of Queen Victoria of England's Diamond Jubilee in 1897. The number of settlers began increasing, especially in 1904 onwards. In an attempt to prevent South Asians from settling, the then Canadian government introduced the infamous Continuous Journey Regulation in 1907-1908. The regulation put restraint on the passengers that they could only be allowed to land on the Canadian soil if they reached a Canadian port after traveling continuously from their country. In the year 1914, South Asians who sailed to Canada on the ship Kamagata Maru were refused entry under the new law, With high engagement with the democratic institutions of the nation, the South Asians asked for the right of vote. In 1947-48, the Canadians of South Asian descent were allowed to vote both in provincial and federal elections, gaining full rights of being a Canadian citizen. All the above historical benchmarks have been an inspiration to South Asian writers. As per Dr. Rajvan Singh Chalana, there are 200 South Asian writers who have made significant contributions in the development of literature and have published a large number of popular books, including novels, poetry, non-fictions, textbooks, and research publications. Their works in English and other languages have attracted worldwide attention and acclaim, and some have been honored with national and international nominations and awards, including Giller Award, Booker Award, and Commonwealth Award. There are some authors such as Michael Ondaatje, Rohinton Mistry, Cyril Davidi, Rahul Verma, Anita Majumdar, Anjali Banerjee, Priscilla Uppal, Proma Tagore, Rachna Gilmore, Rishma Dunlop, Shauna Singh Baldwin, Shehnaz Nanji, who have given South Asian Canadian writing its plural identity.